If you're like the millions of people that are on Section 8 vouchers right now, you're probably worried about your housing. The current administration is fighting tooth and nail to pretty much eliminate the prospect of anyone getting Section 8 housing for the future. But in this video, I want you to have no fear because there are certain Section 8 programs that will never be touched, at least not within the next 4 years. Now, as I promised in my last video, I'm going to highlight one of those programs for you and show you how to get Section 8 extremely fast. This is a little known secret that's really out in the open. As you guys know, my name is Victoria Langford, the credit solutionist, and I am the lead debt elimination strategist over at mycreditcall.com. A little known fact about me is that I have 16 years of experience in the affordable housing community, meaning my career has spanned over a decade since 2008, where I have dealt very closely with Section 8 housing and other affordable housing programs. I don't want you to believe the hype that you've been seeing in the media because a lot of it simply isn't true. In today's video, again, I'm going to highlight one of the programs that I think is one of the unsung heroes in affordable housing. And I have seen multiple, if not thousands of people over the span of my career be basically given safe, clean, and affordable housing because of Section 8. Now, your average person thinks that the only way to get Section 8 is through an actual voucher. Well, there's two forms of Section 8 that I want to talk about today. So grab a pen and paper. The first Section 8 program that I want to talk about is tenant-based Section 8. In a nutshell, tenant-based Section 8 is essentially when you have the voucher. That means that you can take that voucher where the government pays a portion of your rent, about 30% or something like that, to your landlord. The beauty about the tenant-based voucher is that you can take it from unit to unit, property to property, as long as you are income qualified and that owner accepts Section 8 vouchers. This is the case where you see an apartment that may have 20 units and maybe two of those units have Section 8 tenants. That's kind of where that comes from. Now, that is the type of funding that the government is about to possibly halt. Now, they're not halting it for people that are current voucher holders. They're halting it for people that are pending voucher holders, which means if you are on a wait list to receive a voucher, you may not get qualified. So remember that, tenant-based vouchers, you can go from property to property. Now, the type of Section 8 that I'm talking about that you can get on a wait list and literally have an apartment within a week is what we call project-based Section 8 or PBRA, project-based rental assistance. This is very important for those of you that are worried that you will never receive Section 8 in your entire life. Now, when I first started in the Section 8 industry back in 2008, I left the telecommunications industry. So right before text messaging and the iPhone and all that came out, I pivoted and went into housing. What I learned is at the very first place that I managed, I was the office manager, was about a thing called project-based Section 8. What that means is that the entire apartment complex has Section 8 funding. Now, the only caveat here is that because the Section 8 is attached to the property, when you move, you will no longer have that assistance. However, once you get in, you're in. And depending on that Section 8 contract, even if you max out and start making more income to where you're no longer low income, you can actually stay at that apartment as long as you stay in that unit and you recertify every single year, or you essentially get terminated, as they say, but you will not lose your housing. Now, there are other programs within the project-based rental assistance program where if you are over income, you will be asked to leave. So there's two things that go on there. So you have to be very careful when you go for the project-based rental assistance apartments. I want to talk about that because the main businesses or the apartments are businesses. I want to be clear about that. The main units and the main apartments that I've ever worked with in my entire 16-year career have been project-based rental assistance units. That's why I can talk about this program and I know it from top to bottom. There are so many things and scenarios that I've seen through my 16 years in this industry that I can tell you I have literally seen somebody fill out an application one day, get qualified, and move into the rental unit with Section 8 within a week or less. Now, the caveat here is that it depends on where you actually live. If you're looking to get project-based rental assistance in Los Angeles, yes, it is going to take you 15, 20, 30 years. Absolutely. I've seen it. However, if you are looking to rent in Kenosha, Wisconsin, cities in Connecticut, certain parts of New York, you can literally get yourself on that wait list for that project-based Section 8 and be in within a month, if not less. The key is to know exactly where to look. Now, if you've held on this long, thank you so much. And I'm not doing any takes in this video because I think it's very important to get this message out there. I feel that the media is not giving you all the entire story. And there are people like myself and my colleagues that I work with every single day, and the people that I get housing every single day. It's important for people like us to speak up and tell you what is truly happening. I don't just work in the credit repair industry. That's a passion of mine, yes. But I also believe that people do deserve clean, safe, affordable housing. Now, I don't qualify for affordable housing because of the income that I pull in. I'm not a millionaire by any stretch of the imagination. However, I have been on both sides of this affordable housing debate, and I know that the work that I do is not going to be threatened by this new administration. If anything, there are parts of what this administration is doing that I actually may not necessarily agree with, but I understand it. In my 16-year career, I have seen in the project-based rental assistance market, I've seen HUD lose millions of dollars. This happens because there are a lot of people that are managing properties that are in charge of recertifying and income qualifying these tenants that either don't understand the policy, don't know how to implement it, or they simply just don't care. There's a lot of fraud that goes on in the Section 8 industry on the voucher side and on the project-based side. It happens all over the place. It happens in the public housing areas where you have the, what do we call them? The housing authorities. There's a lot of people in the housing authorities that simply don't care. They've become complacent and they don't really care to recertify people and, accurately calculate their income and assets or expenses. So there's a lot of great things that are happening in this industry, and there are a lot of unfortunate things that are happening in this industry. But my job as the credit solutionist, a consultant, and also a person that works in the affordable housing industry, it's my job to keep you informed and tell you what's really going on from my perspective. I've absolutely seen tons of fraud. I've seen people perform the PPP loan fraud, but live in Section 8 housing. I've also seen people that have multiple people in their home, own really fancy European cars, foreign cars. They party all the time and they still have Section 8. I've seen it, and that's the thing that I want to talk about today. So let me just go ahead and highlight really quick before I get out of here so you guys know or understand that I do know what I'm talking about. I want you to humor me and let's go over the Section 8 fact sheet here. So this is going to highlight the difference between project-based vouchers and project-based rental assistance. So it says here that under the rental assistance demonstration, a public housing authority may convert assistance from public housing to long-term project-based project-based Section 8 assistance. A PHA must choose between two forms of project-based Section 8 assistance: project-based vouchers, which are PBVs, and then project-based rental assistance, which is PBRA. So what is project-based Section 8? If you weren't really listening during the beginning of this video, I got you. It says under Section 8, a family pays 30% of their adjusted income in rent. Okay. Any assistance that is project based is attached to specific units in the building. The unit can only be rented to very low or low income or a low income family who will pay 30% of their adjusted income towards the rent. If the family moves out, the unit must be leased to a new family in need of rental assistance. Now, what is the project-based voucher program? The PBV is part of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Now, this one may be affected a little bit by the administration, but here's the explanation of what it is. It's a program which is operated by a local public housing authority, or a PHA. You have to start remembering these acronyms. Okay, the PHAs use some of their HCV, Housing Choice Voucher funding, for long-term contracts that tie funding to specific buildings or project-based. These project-based contracts make up the PBV, y'all, I can't say that, program, and operate under regulations 24 CFR 983. So these are the programs that could be affected. The Housing Choice Voucher, because that is connected to the Public Housing Authority. Again, I cannot speak on public housing authorities too deeply because I don't work with them. The couple of times that I did, it wasn't the greatest experience ever. And a lot of times, because I work in compliance and auditing, my job is to correct them. So the relationship is not always the best because I go by black and white and what's in the book. A lot of housing authorities do not, unfortunately. And now, because of that, this current administration has seen that there's a lot of spending that should not have happened. And now it's time to pay the piper. I'm not happy about that. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, but it is what it is. There's a correction that has to happen. And in order to have the fewest amount of people, citizens that need housing to not be affected, they're going to have to limit and downsize that workforce in the housing authority. Okay, but all is not lost. Because of their skill set, they are still marketable in the world of affordable housing. So I don't want you to fret for those people because they do have a certain set of skills, not being funny, but they have a certain set of skills where they'll be fine. All right, so let's carry on here. All right, so what is project-based rental assistance, the PBRA program? This is the one I'm talking about that's going to be fantastic for you all. Now, the PBRA is another form of project-based Section 8, and the contract is operated by HUD's Office of Multifamily Housing Programs. This is my 16 years of expertise right here. Under PBRA, the contract is between HUD and the property owner. The projects operate under regulations at 24 CFR 880. So, the PBRA, just to make it clear, the reason I don't want you to worry about Section 8 if you're in one of these types of properties is because typically the contract is a minimum of 20 years. So if you just got into a property that has project-based Section 8, remember the Section 8 is only attached to the property. So if you move, you don't have it anymore. This is a lot of times what people do, just as a side note, when they move from a project-based Section 8 place, typically what they do is they will hop from property to property. There's so many ways that you can get around the system or use the system to your advantage, I should say, because everything's legal. You move into the property and then you immediately start putting your name on wait lists in the popular cities. And then you end up staying put where you are until you get called for that other wait list that you were on. That's the nugget. Now, of course, I do have information. I mean, I know that there are certain companies that have project-based rental assistance. It's not hard to find these companies. Most people don't know how to do it because they don't know what program they're supposed to be looking for. So I just gave you all an entire lesson here. And the golden nuggets are all through this 14, 15-minute video. And I do hope that it helps. I want everyone that views this video and had enough patience to watch the entire thing to understand that Section 8 isn't going anywhere. It doesn't matter what this administration does. Think about it. If they got rid of every form of Section 8, where would everyone be housed? They would still have to create some sort of program to compensate for the homelessness that would occur. The other part of this is that I want y'all to understand that sometimes these things happen to force us to try to find a way out. There is no reason that someone should be on Section 8 for 20 plus years. I've seen generations of people in affordable housing where the grandmother might have been in it when she was a young mother in the 70s or 80s or whatever, and she raised her children in it. And then her children never moved out, or they just stayed in the system, and now their children are in it as well. So there's a lot to this, and it's multi-layered. And as I said, I don't have a true opinion about it. Because of my compliance background, I essentially just look at it in black and white. And as long as you're following the policy, I have nothing else to say. So you guys, if you want some information on what companies I would recommend, you're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to book a consultation with me, because that's not knowledge that I would put out because of conflict of interest, number one. And then number two, it's just information that I have spent 16 years of my career gaining. And I do believe that, if you want to get that information, hire me as your consultant, and then we can talk, you guys. All right. So I hope you found this helpful. Okay. Best of luck to everybody that gets on a wait list, but look at the less popular cities in your state. And I think you'll be very surprised at where you can get rental assistance a lot quicker than you thought. It's not all about that one thing, which is that voucher. All right. So I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you guys on the next video. Credit Solutionist out.